I kidnapped my little brother. My mom grabbed my wrist so hard it hurt and she was barely breathing. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and death. She looked at me with desperate eyes and said, "Promise me you'll keep Leo away from Glenn." Leo was my 8-year-old brother, and Glenn was my mom's husband who had adopted him. I had seen the bruises on Leo's arms and the way Glenn looked at him like he was nothing. My mom was too sick to protect him anymore, so I held her hand and said, "I promise." She passed 2 days later, and I was ready to fight for him. Glenn filed for custody the day after the funeral. I spent my entire savings on a lawyer, but the judge looked at me and said, "I'm sorry, but you have no legal standing." Before Leo left, I wrote my phone number on his arm in permanent marker. He looked up at me with tears streaming down his face and whispered, "I'm scared." Glenn grabbed his arm and yanked him toward his truck. When he saw me watching, he winked and said, "Say goodbye to your sister because you won't be seeing her again." I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "I'll be back." He laughed like I had just told him a joke. I drove to Glenn's house the next day and looked through the living room window. Leo was sitting on the couch holding a bag of frozen peas to his face. When he saw me, he quickly hid it and looked toward the hallway to make sure Glenn was not coming. I pounded on the door until my knuckles bled. Glenn came storming out and shoved me off his porch. I hit the ground hard and he stood over me smiling. "You're costing me more trouble than that kid is worth," he said. "Keep coming back. I love watching you embarrass yourself." I called the police and child services, but Glenn charmed them and they closed the case. Then Glenn moved with no forwarding address. I hired a private investigator and tracked him down. When I pulled up, Glenn came outside with a baseball bat. He tapped it against my car window and said, "Come back again and I'll use this. Then I'll tell the cops you were stalking my son. Who do you think they'll believe?" I drove away, but I did not stop looking. Then my phone rang after midnight. "It's Leo," a small broken voice whispered. "I need help." He told me Glenn shoved him out the back door with no shoes for eating cereal. He had been walking for hours in the cold. When I found him, he was sitting on a curb outside a laundromat clutching a plastic bag with everything he owned. His lips were blue. I looked at his arm and saw my phone number faded and smeared from being rewritten over and over. I dropped to my knees and pulled him into my arms. "No one is ever going to hurt you again," I said. A few days later, I hear pounding on my door so loud a picture falls off the wall. I look through the peephole and see Glenn with veins bulging in his neck. He must have found my address from the custody papers. I run to Leo and whisper, "Go to the bedroom and lock the door." He runs. I dial 911 and whisper, "Someone is breaking into my apartment." Then I open the door. Glenn shoves past me so hard I stumble into the counter. "Where is he? Leo, get out here right now!" he screams. I put myself between him and the hallway. "You need to leave," I say. He gets so close I can smell the alcohol sweating out of his pores. "You think you can just take what's mine? I own him," he snarls. "He's not property, Glenn," I say. He laughs. "Property has value and he's worthless, but those checks aren't." "What checks?" I ask. He grins. "$800 a month since your mom passed, and that's my money. You think I wanted him? I wanted the paycheck. Your mom even offered me her life insurance payout just so I would say yes. I took every cent from a dying woman and I'd do it again." The bedroom door creaks open. Leo is standing there. He heard everything. Glenn rolls his eyes. "Get over here now. I don't have time for this." Leo does not move. "No, because she's done more for me in a few days than you did the whole time," he says. Glenn's lip curls. "Your mom begged me to keep you because she knew nobody else would want you. You were her burden, and then you became mine." I shove Glenn so hard he crashes through my coffee table. Glass everywhere. He swings at me, and that is when the cops kick the door in. They slam Glenn face first into the floor. "Do you know who I am?" he screams as they drag him out. He cranes his neck back and spits at Leo. "This is all your fault, you little parasite." Then he is gone. Leo watches them take him and whispers, "You don't have to keep me." I pull him close and say, "I want to."